Hey guys, this is John here in Los Angeles with the Alpha Channel update for June 28th, 2024, Saturday. And I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I got a lot done. I got a shoulder workout done. Spent most of the day sleeping, to be honest. Today we have a sequel to Conan 228, Conan 229. I much prefer this cover. This is a Mark Texeira cover. You can see his name down here at the bottom. I believe his first name is Mark. I haven't looked it up. But that's Conan 229. This one is, first one was Red Teeth. This is Red Eyes. And we have Conan and Rasu who are still, this picks up right where the last issue left off. Conan and Rasu are still, you can see they're in the catacombs. They're in a tunnel underneath the castle. And they are fleeing from a gang of cannibals who strangely change their scale occasionally in this issue. Apologies. So here we have Conan and Rasu fleeing a gang of cannibals underneath a castle. And you can see, it's getting close to 4th of July, Rasu falls in a crevice. He's not being careful. Conan is the only character with a sword. Rasu does not have a sword anymore. As a matter of fact, I believe Conan took Rasu's sword because he lost his own. I think he threw it. He did throw it in the last issue at Mustafa and hit him in the chest. Now, on the cover, the bad guys are really blacks, right? They're not cannibals. I'm guessing that this cover was done and they just repurposed it for this issue, colored it a little bit differently. But those are Africans. Those are African fellows with knives and swords and spears. And inside this comic, they're fighting monsters. They're fighting vampire monsters who live underground and have no weapons. Conan is the only character with a sword. So this is crucial coming up because he tells Rasu to stay back, and then he also chides him for being a coward. Which, I'm going to let it pass because otherwise this is a great issue. It's not a great issue, but it's a passable issue. It's a decent issue. And I really do want to talk about why I'm focusing on Conan. Why I think am I really just stealing Marvel's stuff to promote mine? That's not really I suppose that's a fair accusation. I'm making it myself. But the truth is, I'm really focusing on what I want to deliver to the audience. And these issues, so here Rasu and Conan are being chased by the cannibals, and they tumble down a flight of stairs, and the cannibals don't pursue them. So that's also something I wanted to talk about. There's 3 things you can do in a scene, and you saw this a lot in the 1950s sort of exploration sci-fi movies, where it was more often a group than one character, stumbles into, whether it's, a tropical area in the Antarctic, whether it's a new civilization on a new planet in a sci-fi Flash Gordon episode or Buck Rogers, whatever it is, they meet one group of people and have a hostile, semi-hostile negotiation with them. And then more often than not, well, not more often than not, but a lot of times in the old 1950s stuff, in the same scene, like the same setup, the same camera angles, a new group would enter and completely change the dynamic of the story. And you get that a lot in these comics. Because a scene is really just, a stage, and that all the world's a stage, and we are just players in the play. And when you think about it that way, every new character is a new story. And here we get the obligatory flashback. These flashbacks are used to really carry the story with new characters, when they explain how they got to where they're at and why they need Conan's help. And almost all of these Conan stories are about trusting people and what they tell you and whether that's the truth or not. So this pale green is flashback story. I like that they did this to separate it out from the main story. Basically, this older guy was going back 3 or 4 kings back in time. Let's see, where's a good picture of him? 3 or 4 previous kings, the 3 previous kings, Tarim, the great-great-grandfather, he served that guy, and that guy betrayed him. The same way Mustafa betrayed Rasu, and the same way Rasu's about to betray Conan, and the same way this old guy is about to betray Conan and Rasu. It's a never-ending game of betrayal, these old stories. And that's why I was going to mention The last one I really didn't like about Bast, that had sort of a Donald Westlake story to it, in that Donald Westlake was actually I think he wrote as Richard Stark, or he wrote the Parker stories. Parker the Thief. Let's see, where is that issue? It's not right here. Anyhow, it's the one with Bast. And in that issue, Conan chased down the bad guys because he'd made a deal with a guy who'd already been killed. And they brought it up in the story over and over and over again. And it's a lot of what happens here, too. Conan will make a deal with someone, and he has to see it through. Because otherwise, the story ends. That's the real issue, is the story ends. And so what we're really talking about is lazy writing. You're making the character do something because it's convenient for your plot as an author. And that's when the audience will disconnect from the story and come away with a negative emotional charge. And so the emotional charge is really important. That's why people read fiction. That's why people have a fiction addiction. Comics are an addiction. You are a drug dealer. This is one of the only drugs in the world that has no negative consequences besides the people are light a few dollars. Maybe they learn something. You know, reading novels is it's not a waste of time. You certainly could be doing worse things with your life. Video games, I can see the complaint a little bit. It's harder to put forth the idea that people are learning playing video games, but there are lessons being taught. If you weren't learning, you wouldn't play. If you beat the level the first time, all the way through every time, that wouldn't be an interesting game. That's some sort of cooperative fiction. That's almost like a choose your own adventure where you end up missing half the story. If you're not developing skills in a video game, even if it's just hand-eye coordination and decision making, decisiveness is crucial in life, and they've proven that video games teach that. So in comic books, it's a little bit different. It's more about your opinion of the decisiveness exhibited by the characters. Check this out. This is just amazing art. So that is why the little cannibals... Oh, I wanted to complain about this panel up here where the cannibals change scale. Check this out. This is frustrating. Look at this top panel. They're almost like the ghostly demons that assail Conan in the film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's dead and Mako that has to write all the spells on him, and Valeria has to hold him down overnight. They're that small. It's they're like the demons in Ghost that come and take the souls. So I hope that wasn't out of the camera. Move it back here. So I know my eye line's in camera, so hopefully you can see that. But yeah, so changing the scale of the monsters is a little strange, but since they don't follow Conan and Rasu down into this subterranean chamber, you can presume there's a larger threat, and that is this snake, this guy is now sacrificing Conan and Rasu to this demon. And he's got a funny way of doing it. I'm not going to get into that because it's just kind of stupid. Well, maybe I'll talk about it. Okay, so this guy, this old fellow, serves the former king 3 generations back. And since Rasu is a captain of the guard, he offers him the choice to sacrifice himself and Conan can serve him, or he can sacrifice his assistant, Conan, because this guy believes in rank. So I'm guessing Jerry Conway may have served in the military and naturally buys into rank structure. I think the military rank structure is one of the remaining edifices of corruption in society. You know, the officer class, the way you can't go from a sergeant to a lieutenant or a staff sergeant to a lieutenant. They're completely separate tracks. You shouldn't, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. That was one of the real reasons I couldn't stand the military. So here is Conan and Rasu. Rasu's going to sacrifice Conan. And Conan pushes Rasu in front of the snake. It really should have been Conan pulling Rasu, this should have been framed differently. There's a different way to have done this. They could have positioned the camera differently on the Z-axis. It didn't have to be such a distance shot. I know you want to see the snake, but it could have been done differently. And the way they handled the cannibals earlier was actually a lot more interesting in that all they had to do was murder Mustafa, and that slowed the cannibals down from chasing them, in that the cannibals ate Mustafa. And I also thought that's what happened up here. I had suspected that Conan and Rasu, when they killed a couple of the cannibals before they tumbled down the stairs, this happened a lot earlier than I thought, that the cannibals ate themselves, that ate the other dead cannibals. Which, crickets, if you put 13 crickets in a bag and you come back a week later, you're going to have one fat cricket. So that's what I thought was happening with the cannibals here, because it makes sense. But it wasn't. They just didn't follow them down there because of the snake. And now Conan pushes Rasu into the snake's mouth, which, so the blocking doesn't work. Again, I'm not going to throw the comic out because of two minor mistakes. I don't mind really. What was the other one? I don't even remember. There's this and something else that bothered me. Oh, the scale on the cannibals. Okay, those two things pulled me out of the story, but those were the only two. So, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I can live with that. Here's a great 2-page spread. I would buy this 2-page spread and mount it on a wall, black and white. This is awesome artwork. I barely looked at it before I just showed it to you guys, but it looks really good. The snake's head looks a little weird right here, but okay, again. I love the motion lines, the action lines. The colors are a little muted. That's okay. I think I would have found a way to use brighter colors maybe, and other than that snake's head looking a little weird down there at the bottom, this is still an amazing 2-page spread by Dwayne Turner. Awesome artist. And, I don't have to know his background to compliment his art. So, unfortunately for writers, if the writing is great, I will never look up your background. If you talk shit, if you say something stupid, I'm always going to consider the source. If you write stupid, I'm going to consider the source. If you write culture shit, I'm going to consider the source. So Jim Owsley, before I ever even read your work, you were slamming Caesar, who's a far better man than you'll ever be. Think about what he did. He rewrote the calendars, man. You should read all of you should read the Chronicles of Caesar and Gaul, Caesar's Chronicles in Gaul. I was disappointed with how Conan killed the snake. I was hoping to see him dive down its throat and cut out through its stomach. But he just stabbed it in the side and it died. I guess he found its heart. I thought snakes didn't have hearts. Isn't that the joke? Where the snakes have 3 hearts? Worms have 7 hearts. But that's how Conan kills the snake. And we end up back in the bar where we started, where the OnlyFans girl confesses that Rasu is not her brother. It was her boyfriend before Conan, which she obviously knew. And she's talking shit to him, and he's telling her that he's bored of her anyhow. Which is kind of hilarious and leads me to something else I wanted to talk about. You girls are a big part of the problem of the culture war. You've all become Amber Heard. You know it, and I know it. Oh, here's the other one that I was looking for. No, this isn't the other one. I was looking for the one with Bast. I guess I don't have to go into that right now. It's not for me to do. Here's Hearn, Wildwood Tarot. And this is why it's not for me to do. Here's the hooded man with mistletoe on his robe. And this is why it's not for me to do right now. Here's the 10 of Vessels, happiness. I am so happy I do not have to complain about you miserable people. There are a lot of you out there, and I feel bad for you. Here's the back of the card. I really do. I wish your life could be this much fun. My life is only this good because I have none of you bothering me. I think that's a big part of it. I am someone who thrives in isolation. I'm so happy. I went skating today. Only fell once. I didn't even get the screaming Santa Cruz. So I really, I'm so happy writing. I'm happy. Oh, I did get a second copy of the robe. This one's a little bit better condition. I think this is probably newer. This one is not autographed, and it doesn't come with a map. They just get right to it. But it's a cleaner copy. So this one's a little bit older. I think this might even be a first edition. It's autographed, so it probably is a first edition. It was made out to Eleanor Palmer. But yeah, so I have 2 now. Third one's coming Monday. Anybody wants one, just say so. But yeah, what do I want to talk about? Happiness. Doing this stuff, doing comics, doing art. I'm going to get to sit down and draw for the rest of the night. I was doing some of that. I've been character designing for the skaters who are in the first issue. Some of them are only in a panel or 2 or a few pages, but still, it's enough that I want their characters to be good. I've been looking at Greg Capullo. A friend of mine recommended him. He's a famous artist. But I love his characterizations. He's so amazing at separating, like, really simple lines to make characters look incredibly different. He's got the sort of cartooning, what's it called? Exaggerated features thing down. So yeah, I don't know. I'm saying a lot. I don't really have anything to say. Just that I am living this. I am living happiness, and I hope you guys are too. It's sort of a bummer that there is such a culture war. There doesn't have to be. I think I would be a lot happier if there weren't. I'm certain everyone would be a lot happier if there weren't. There's only a few people who benefit when everybody else is bickering and fighting. You know, got to think about that. Whenever you're in a situation or an institution that from the top down everyone is cruel to each other, that's because it's not deliberate. It's because the person on top hates themselves. They either hate themselves physically, they hate themselves spiritually, they continually make bad choices and then beat themselves up about it. They don't live with, it's getting to work on time doesn't mean anything if you eat, if you're just incredibly unhealthy and you're poisonous to everyone you're around. So yeah, it's much better to be alone. If being alone and, if that's what you need to do to be happy, go do that. I don't need to be alone to be happy, but I definitely need to be around happy people. I am not capable of having my happiness be contagious with miserable people. I find that their energy tends to bleed over to me. I'm relatively susceptible to that. I think I can be contagious to other people's energy. Like it's easy for them to. I hate using the phrase energy. It's so fucking gay. It's stupid. But that's what you get from comics. These are like, this is a half-hour sitcom, right? Sitcoms are all happy, but you don't get a half-hour tragedy or a half-hour action film very often. Cartoons are as close as you get, and that's absurd. Burn Notice was really good. Burn Notice, the early 2000s was like the last time TV was good, and it was mostly reality shows. Do you remember, like, it had no competition? Shows like that had no competition back then. They were like redoing MacGyver, and I don't even remember what else. So yeah, I love fiction. I love doing it. I am focused on these because I was able to bring that energy to my story. This is so close. I have studied this so hard, and I did such a good job with these. Legacy of a Mad Scientist and The Legend of Ashley Fox. It's not Conan because I didn't want to rip anything else off. So it's unique. It's science fiction, but it's the Conan value system. And that's what I'm bringing to Modern Savages for my kids' skateboarding comic, and I'm really, really excited about it. I needed to do the futuristic version first, where we have clones and hoverboards and plasma guns and all that kind of stuff. It gave me a freedom. First off, it gave me the ability to bring characters back from the dead, which is a major freedom in writing without having to go down a spiritual road. Although I did go down a spiritual road, the blue goo, I'm going to give you guys a little spoiler here, anyone who's watching this, comes from angel blood, synthetic angel blood. And that is the parallel to all the problems of the world in my futuristic stories, vampirism and all that stuff. Although that's not featured yet, that's featured in the upcoming stories. So, look, I don't think I've said anything except that I'm super happy because I live in fiction. And in the old days, this would have been writing the Bible, or doing other sort of stuff, mythology. So sculpture, plays, it's always been here. It's always been here. And the reason it's so important to me is because I'm not a natural alpha. I had to work at it. I had to work really, really, really hard to get to a place where I'm everything I ever wanted to be. Everything I ever wanted to be. So, yeah, no one can take that away from you. When you learn something, people can come, break into your house, steal your goods, kill your friends and family, but they can't take what you know. They can kill you, but if you're free inside, that's not something they can take. So, yeah. All right, love you guys. See you later.